Hello, welcome back to part 36 of this video tutorial how to build a Pacman game in XNA. Please don't forget to buy the content. Send €2.95 to PayPal account XNAPacman 2013 at hotmail.com. We send the content in 24 hours to your email address. In this tutorial we're going to load the dots data into the game, and the first thing we need to do is switch back to the Pacman project. So go to your Solution Explorer and right click the Pacman project and set it as your starter project, just like this. And the next thing we need to do is we need to rebuild our dynamic link library. So in your pathfinding data, open the map data file, and the first thing we're going to do here is add a public list. So public list, and this time it's a factor 3. So we're going to use the X and I for the position of the dot, and the Z is the selected item, right? And we call it dots. Represents a list with dots, right? And now we need to rebuild the constructor. So we're going to add here a variable, and that's a list factor 3, and we call it dots, right? That's the list of dots tiles, right? And now we can say here that this dots is equals to dots. Alright, and now we have rebuilt the constructor. We need to build the pathfinding data. So in the Solution Explorer, right click the pathfinding data and build. So now the build is succeed. The next thing we're going to do is we copy the dots data to the XML file. So go to your folder from the previous tutorial where we have created the dots file, and we're going to open it, and then we press Ctrl A, so we select all the data, and Ctrl C to copy the data, right? And then we go to the content of our Pacman project, and in the maps folder we're going to open the map file, and now we can close the barriers, and we're going to add here a new item, and we call it dots, right? And now we press Ctrl V to paste the dots data into the map file, just like this, right? Now we're going to save this file, and we're going to close it. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a dots dictionary, and we're going to do that in the items class. So we're going to open the items class, and in the public section here we're going to create a new dictionary. We're going to do that just here after the object list, and we're going to say here public static, and it's a dictionary, and we're going to say here the key is a point, and we're gonna use a dot, right? And we call it the dot list, and we create a new one, a new dictionary point dot. All right. A list contains all the dots. Alright, and now we have that done. We're gonna load the dots data, and we're gonna do that in the map class. So go to the map class, and in the set map data at the bottom, we're gonna say here int size is 0. And now we can set the dots in the dots list. So set the dots in the dot list. And we're going to use a for loop. So for int e is 0. E smaller is than the maps. And then we use the current map as index. Dot dots dot count, and then e plus plus. And now we can say here get the data from the XML file. So x is equals to the int of maps current map dot dots, and then we use the e for index dot x, right? And now we can say the same for I. So I is equals to the int of maps current map dot dots, and then the e for the index dot I. And now we're going to say that size is equals to the int of maps current map dot dots, the e for index dot set, right? And now we're gonna create a new dot. So create a new dot. So we're gonna say here that dot dot is new dot, and now we're gonna pass in a new vector 2. And we're going to say here x multiplied by game1 dot tile size, and I multiplied by game1 dot tile size, right? And as last thing we pass the size, right? Now we're going to create a new point, so point P and T is new point XI, right? And now we're going to add the dot to the dot list. So items dot list dot add pnt dot, right? And now we have load the dots data. We can draw the dots data on the screen, and therefore we need to go to our game class, to our draw section, and just on top of where we draw the objects, we're gonna say here draw all the dots on the screen. And now we're going to say with a for each loop, for each. And now we need to use a key value pair. And we're going to say here a point and a dot. And we call it dot in items dot list. Alright, and now we can say here that if dot value dot is alive, dot value dot draw, and we need to pass in the sprite batch. Right? Well, let's see how this looks. So run. And look, there we have the dots on the screen. It looks nice. Well, I'm gonna finish the tutorial here. In the next tutorial we're gonna build the player class and the player database. So I hope you enjoy and see you in the next tutorial. Bye.